All right, and we're in. Before we continue with our review of macOS Catalina, I want to invite you to definitely go over to the channel and subscribe. I'd really, truly appreciate it. Um, yeah, means the world. All right, so I'm not going to give you like all the crazy specs that you might see um, from Apple, or at least I'm not going to run through everything you've probably already read already. So let's kind of click over here. They're talking about how you have dark mode, how it's, has photos and podcasts and TV and stuff. I'll touch on that for just a minute, but I really want to give my thoughts on how I'm using macOS Catalina versus High Sierra and how it's helping my day-to-day creativity. Pretty much the apps that I use on an everyday basis are Final Cut Pro to make films. I use Adobe Illustrator for pretty much flyers and everything in between. I use Safari for, browsing the web and doing everything as far as research. I've started using reminders and notes only because they've done such a good job of making this work in macOS Catalina as well as iPhone iOS. So the main features that you've probably read about are the photos, the podcasts, and the TV. Well, I love podcasts, so I'm super happy to see iTunes disappear and just be able to focus on listening to my podcast right from the get instead of having to search for it. That's really great. The big thing that they're trying to do here that Windows tried to do back once upon a long time ago is they're trying to make Mac OS more like iOS, but they're also not trying to sacrifice what they've done with Mac OS. They're not trying to force us to they're not trying to force all the Mac users into just this iOS looking desktop. So what they're doing is they're slowly integrating. They're slowly adding all these little things that you see on iOS to macOS, so that it just feels like a transition instead of like being like you're being forced to. So I enjoy that. I use Spotify and Apple Music, so I don't know what the new iTunes experience looks like. And then photos. The big thing here is our Macs. Like, if you're anything like me and you take a lot of videos, not specifically photos, but take a lot of videos. I'm running on a 2000 late or early 2015 MacBook. By the way, this thing still runs like a champion. Almost 4 years later, but I only have 128 gigs of storage. So syncing photos to my desktop for iCloud just doesn't make sense. So iCloud's gotten a lot better. You can always use stacks for now. iCloud's gotten a lot better between transferring files over back and forth from, like, say, the desktop or your downloads or whatever. It just works really well now. So they're definitely trying to merge that experience. So I appreciate that. And they've just gotten more intuitive under the hood. Like everything that you've seen in High Sierra is pretty much the same in here, except for maybe dark mode. But there's a lot of stuff under the hood that has just gotten more intuitive. So dark mode is the biggest thing they tried to kind of throw out there. So let's just throw that up real quick. Go to general. And you can do dark mode or light. Dark mode, I love it on my phone and I love it on my iPad, but when I'm doing like work for 8 hours a day, it just makes me sleepy. So I find that I actually enjoy the light experience better, but I'll keep it on dark for the time being so you can kind of just see how it's affecting everything around me. It goes everywhere through the tabs. They've done a beautiful job of making this seamless. Also, something cool that they've done to seamlessly do the same for iOS and iPad OS is the notifications slash today bar has gotten more intuitive, where it's the exact same experience you would expect uh, on your iPad or on your iPhone. You can edit the widgets just like you would, just like my iPad OS does and stuff like that. What else? Looking at the settings, and I haven't gone through all this stuff to try it out, but I think this is a really great step forward for them, um, where they're trying to get much better about their accessibility, and not just much better. Like they're trying what they're doing for accessibility. If I can find the button, is truly amazing. Like they previewed this on in the keynote, but you literally can control your MacBook with your voice now. And I can only imagine with people that are disabled, people that have a hard time, like that's truly amazing. I love that. With like Alexa and stuff like that also being added to the game, allowing us to just kind of control things with our voice when we can't, do certain things like that is it's a huge step forward. They added a lot more security features into this release. I won't go over those. And then I also noticed Apple ID, like they kind of changed that up a lot where you can get a little bit more in tune with your Apple ID and things like that. It's much easier to use than the previous High Sierra. You'll also notice like when you plug your iPhone in, it pops up here now. You can kind of control it like you would in iTunes. And that is essentially it. There's a lot of cool little tiny things under the hood that just make it a nice experience. But the thing with Mac devices that keeps us coming back is they don't change it too much, but they continue to make it faster and easier to use. And when you're able to do that, it's a no brainer. Like I don't know, like I love that. Um, Also, the wallpaper changes back here. So what I really think they're aiming for, and this is my last closing thought, is what they're trying to do. And they also have the App Store and the arcade, which I'll pull that up. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make, you know, Mac OS be iOS or iPad OS. Like they're trying to really bring that seamless experience all in all, but they're also not trying to force it down your throat like Windows did. So, do I recommend my Mac OS Catalina? Most definitely. Well worth the upgrade. It's much nicer. Do I think you'll notice a million different features? No, I don't think so. But it's one of those things that just grow on you. It just is one of those. It's just one of those things. I love it, and I'm sure you will too. Hope you enjoyed this review of macOS Catalina from a creative director, filmmaker's viewpoint. And remember, go over and give me a subscribe, please, please. Just click that button real quick, and you can get more tech review stuff like that from me. And yeah, I really appreciate it. All right, catch you guys on the next one. Bye.